and hello guys, and welcome back to MRC-X. Sorry, it is a really late intro, but I am here. We are in Spain. It is season 10, and this party is about to get started. Today I'm joined by Genie. He's going to take you through a lap of the one-shot qualifying that we are about to see. How are you, Rob?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very excited. It's nice to be starting out the new season, isn't it? This is what everybody likes. 0 points, even across the board, a good chance to really make your mark early on. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. That is for sure. Now, who's going to be the unlucky person that I'm going to pick? It's going to be Chris Bailey, who's going to take us on a lap of the Spain circuit. So, if I can find Chris Bailey, he's moving all over the place, which is really annoying me.
It's fine, I'm going to find him as well.
Chris, stop trading places. Okay, this isn't going to work, I don't think. But anyway, RC Danny is currently in the lead. Chris Bailey's in P4. I'm on board with him now if you found him.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm on board with Chris Bailey as well. He's going to take you around the lap whilst we can. So let's do this. He's already done that tricky second sector. Now he's braking about the 50-metre board. Hook it in. Then you want to get on the accelerator as early as possible. Out of here again. Into this left-right. This is very technical, very easy to lose the back end, and those curbs are lethal, but he's been very tentative on those. It's fine, he's all the way up into third place now. He'll be fighting for that pole position. You want to keep it flat out in quality, not invalidate on the outside, but I think as he's got all the way down to 16th, he might have invalidated there, but let's keep on board, see what he can do. This revamped section here, very tricky to find the correct line through here. I think we're going to see a lot of different lines into that corner. Then we're into this last bit, which not many people like. We are getting rid of this chicane in the next season, in the next update of the track. But for now, we're going to have to go through it left, right. Don't cut it too much. You don't want to hit those sausage curves or it's lethal. Get a little bit of the outside curve. Again, you can lose it on the outside. And as we go across the line, and like I say, I think he might have invalidated, but let's see if you want to take us through. With Connor, that was a hectic one-lap quality.
It was, and I tell you something as well, like while we're on the cooldown before we go to the race, we're going to see a lot of, with the racing line on now, I think it's going to throw a lot of spanners in the works, but your grid heading into round 1 of Season 10, Doris will start on pole, G-Star will be in P2, RFC Danny in P3, the lead car for the Challenger tier, Single Track in P4, Jackster P5, Kaiser Soze in P6, Donny in P7, B17 in P8, Carl in P9, Simba in P10, Geke in P11, Scottish Ninja in P12, Chelsea in P13, Mutts Nuts in P14, Biff P15, Ghost Rider, Chris Bailey, Calvin, Xavier and Uncle Sam will round out your grid. Wow, that was breathtaking.
It was, and some really fast people at the back of the grid. I think we might see a bit of a shake-up as the race goes on, because, yeah, Calvin, Bailey and Xavier, just to name a few, I think they're not going to be happy being right at the back there.
I think Xavier may have been planned. He tends to do it a little bit in MRC-X, and he knows it's a 100% race, but I'm really excited for this, Rob, but I think the anticipation since, in particular, the team draw has really been building for Season 10. I think now we're going to hit that point where, okay, it's happening, let's do this.
Yeah, certainly, and, you know, even though they're not in the teams tonight, this is all equal cars, this is player liveries, which I'm sure we'll see as we go throughout the race. It's nice to be sort of like the first one to get in the first race of the season, get to grips with the track, even if you've got line on, line off, however you like to race. It's not only a good chance to show off your skills, but it's a good chance to get a bit of practice in as well for the week ahead.
Yeah, it definitely is. I'm just trying to invite Mutts Nuts back because he's had... Oh no, I think he's back in. That's fine. But yeah, so yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Have you done a lot of practice? Do you like this track? Do you like, you know?
Have I done a lot of practice? No, I'm terrible at practice. I wish I did. This track is fun, though. I think it's a good one to start the season off with. It's, you know, there's a reason why they do pre-season testing around here, or at least used to, because you've got such a great balance of, you know, how you've got to set the car up. There's very few overtaking spots. You've got high-speed corners. You've got low-speed corners. It is going to challenge sort of all facets of the driver's abilities around here, and yeah, that's why I think it makes a perfect season out of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you completely. Now, let's do liveries while we're on the formation lap, because we've seen some amazing ones. We need the man in P4. We need you to bring out some of your inner Fernando if possible, but we'll get to him in a second. But let's look at Doris. Pink. I actually really like that. It looks like a failed Alpine, but a better Alpine.
It does. I really like it too. I like sort of the flowers on the side. You're not going to miss that in a hurry. We're going to know where Doris is tonight, aren't we?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're looking for in delivery.
We definitely are. G-Star, he is running one that he's run every single week ever. So I think we've all seen this about 100 times, but it is, like I say, every week, reasonably nice.
It's nice. Hey, if it works, doesn't it? So yeah, why change perfection?
RFC Danny's got the United Kingdom colours. That's what I'm going with anyway, even though he's Scottish. But
that might be a hangover from our last race of MRC-X, which was in Silverstone. But yeah, still an excellent livery, very eye-catching. I like that one.
Now we need a bit of Spanish, a bit of Fernando finesse from you for Mr. Single Track.
Yeah, so he's left this message. Estoy listo para correr en España esta semana. Aquí tenemos mi coche especial para Barcelona. Which, first of all, I'd like to extend my apologies to the Spanish nation and anybody who speaks Spanish for my pronunciation of that.
And Fernando in particular.
And Fernando, yeah, the Lord of the Eyebrows himself will be unhappy with me. But translated into English, that says, I'm ready to run in Spain this week. Here we have my special car for Barcelona. And it really works. It pops with all the colours of the Spanish flag. So yeah, I think Martin's done a great job.
It definitely does. We will come back to liveries at some point during the race, but Martin requested in particular that got brought up on comms, and I thought you would be better with a Spanish accent than I would at least. So, Josh Issy says, hyped for the new season. I'm actually unsure who that is. But I'm hyped for the new season as well, and on that note, we are 5 red lights, and for season 10, we are underway, sort of, when the cars eventually do move. We're underway. Doris has made a very, very good getaway. Although I'm not actually seeing anything right now because the camera angles the game is giving me are absolutely awful. But Doris has kept the lead into turn 1. Great start from Kaiser Soze, who has really jumped a few places there. RFC Daddy's lost a place to Single Track as well. He's going a bit backwards here. Side by side in turn 3 between Jackster and I think it's Donny. But yeah, all very clean. Oh, someone drowned. I think it's B17. It is B17. Oh. Wait, how have Chelsea and Muttnuts been disqualified?
I have no idea. It might be, in fact, maybe if they were kicked from the session or they couldn't back in. That's very unfortunate. That's like having a technical failure in the pit lane and not being able to get in. Had one of those recently in a 100% race. So yeah, no, that's very unfortunate for those two. I'm sorry if you're unable to get back into the session.
Yeah, that's really... it's not ideal at all, is it?
No, we'll have to thank our friends at Codemasters for that.
Big twitch from Doris in turn 10! He's lost the lead to G-Star. He's just had a humongous twitch.
That's a big place to lose it, isn't it? And I just want to go through, just having a look at these tyre strategies that we've got.
I know, I was
really
just about to bring
interesting
these
to see. Yeah, no, go ahead, Ben.
No, like, you carry on with what you're saying, because it's what exactly I was going to say, so...
Yeah, no, I just sort of see the field. We've got a mixture of soft runners, medium runners, and hard runners. So those two at the top on the soft, so do expect, trying to pull out a gap. A Single Track, Martin, in 3rd place on the mediums. I think if he can make those last a bit longer, he can sort of hang it out. He's one to watch. And then from about 8 down, we've got those people who I thought were, I suspected they would be disappointed with their qualifying position and have already made up places. Chris Bailey, Ed Saviour, Calvin, Ghost Rider, those that they are all on the hard tyres. They'll be looking to take these as long as possible and, make a few jumps at the first pit stop. Yeah,
I completely agree with you. I mean, I'm just looking at the position changes a bit here. Saviour's up 10, Chris Bailey's up 9, Biff is up 8. They're the big winners. B17's down 10. Bits down 10. Carl had to pit. I believe him and Carl may have come together quite early on. But Jackster's dropped 10 as well. So, few drivers haven't made the best getaways here.
Yeah, and another thing that's really interesting, you say Spain's quite a difficult place to pass. Look at that gap now developing between between 6th and 7th. Chris Bailey just makes the move, goes up into 7th place. He's the hard runner, of course. I think he's the top hard runner at the moment. And he's got 6 seconds to catch if he wants to get on the back of Jay Don, who, those soft and medium runners are really running away with it.
They definitely are. I think early on you most likely will see that, but how... Obviously, tyre wear around here is a slightly unknown thing, but I guess that's the benefit about having MRC-X early, isn't it, really? So it'll be interesting to see how long they can take those soft tyres.
Yeah, particularly, I mean, in the 50% races that we usually run, they tend to be one stop. If you do more than two, it's because the weather's changed or we've had a late safety car or something like that. I think in the 100%, you'll see more people going for the two stop. I think even like it'll be mandated. But those on the hards, they might be looking to do a one stop, hard to medium. It'll be really interesting to see which one of those is the better strategy.
Yeah, I agree. Turn 5, J-Don has just gone past RFC Danny. These two were fighting it out quite a lot in Tier 4 last season, which me and you commentated on many a times. So it's a battle we're quite familiar with. And that's for the lead of the Challenger tier as well.
Exactly, and it's nice to see our Challenger tier drivers up in 5th and 6th. I know they've got a fair advantage at the moment, but yeah, it's really nice to see them competing, and those two being so feisty with another. J-John on the soft, RFC Danny on the medium, so he'll be hoping just to get in the DRS train and tag along, because he really doesn't want to get sucked out of this lead group and fall back into the clutches of Chris Bailey. He'll be hunting them down behind.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I tell you something, did you watch the Wednesday race this week?
I did not. No, I'm afraid I was busy that night.
For the entire time, pretty much the entire race, Single Track and Kaiser Soze were pretty much glued to each other. And again, these two are pretty much glued to each other. So if it's anything like Wednesday night, this is going to be absolutely fantastic between these two.
Well, I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but they'll be coming together again in Tier 2 that will be on Monday. So, yeah, they might be sick of the sight of each other for a little while, but yeah, it means that we're going to have some nice close racing in Tier 2 this season. I think that's what we all want. I mean, I had a look through the tiers the other day, and anybody could win in that Tier 2, I feel. Like, just on their day, any driver could get the victory.
I think it's also the same for, I think, all of the tiers. I think there is every chance this season, looking at the driver mix-up, that you could see 13 different winners in each tier. It's more than possible. So, like, Tier 2's always, for me, been the most exciting and the closest tier, in my personal opinion. But you just never know, do you? To be completely honest, so...
No.
But, here comes Kaiser Soze.
Yeah, Kaiser Soze is... Oh yeah, Gus, he's very close.
Oh no, sorry,
got
Single Track on Doris I meant. Oh wait, yeah, we have that safety car.
Just a virtual at the moment.
It's confusing me because I see yellow dots on the map and I don't know if it's the actual drivers or... That's the thing. I think it's a virtual, is what I believe. So, yeah, wow, it's been neutralised. I wonder who... I'm guessing it's for Geke because he's just come in the pits.
Yeah, that is such a shame, but in such a long race, you can make it back. And also, while we were chatting earlier, oh yeah, no, it was a virtual safety car, because unfortunately, Bit's got a penalty there, drive-through. It's always, to me, just seems so unfair if they're going a little bit too quick, or just missing that red or green. So, yeah, he's already had one pit stop tonight. That'll be a second for him. He'll be desperate for a safety car.
Oh, Scottish Ninja's out. Where's he gone? Final corner by the looks of... Oh, in the pits. I've just realised that's in the pits. So,
I've just had enough and decided to call it a night.
I hope not. If it's rear wing damage, don't forget it does need to be sent to the stewards just so we can just see over it, because obviously there are rules regarding it in the rule book. But let's have a look at some of these battles. I think Doris and Single Track is now one that's shaping out to be a very interesting one. Saviour and Chris Bailey as well. I think if you look at the shape of X this season, these are two people you could very much see fighting for the Elite Tier title.
Oh yes, and we both know just how quick they are. It's weird, we've got a yellow in Sector 1. I don't know if that's a car, somebody just getting out the way there.
I think that is that Danny? No, I think you may be right actually. I think that's someone getting out the way potentially. No, that's Scottish Ninja's retired car that's come back out on track.
Excellent. Okay, well done, Codemasters. Just another win for them.
Yeah, that is. I mean, this game's a write-off at this point. Let's be honest. So, yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, like we were saying, Saviour's now a two-time champion now of Elite Tier. So He's a man that knows what it's like to win an MRC-X, and obviously this is a very different challenge for drivers as well, because you're against drivers that you don't race against every week. You don't know their movements, you don't know... Oh, Biff's out! Safety car!
Now that is a full safety car that you think you can on that soft tyre now. I would say they are only going to get worse. I know the soft tyres tend to last a little bit longer than 100%. They tend to be about 7 laps in 50%, so they can probably go double distance.
Well, I can confirm G-Star and Doris have both stayed out at this point, and so has Kaiser Soze. So I don't know if maybe they were a bit late to the pits and they didn't have the confidence in their tyres being selected, the ones they wanted being selected, but you'd feel like now it's going to be too late for them to pit because they're going to drop majorly down the field.
Yeah.
But one soft runner has come in, and that's Mr. J. Don, so that is going to be great.
Yeah, I think it makes sense for him. He can pit and come out, not lose that many positions. Maybe he's going to lose 2 to Jackson and Ghost Rider behind, but he's going to have enough space for KK Matthew easily. So yeah, get on a fresh pair of mediums. We'll probably go soft, medium to the end, or medium hard. He just has to extend those out. And yeah, it drops from 10th down into... from 10th to 13th. Not that much at the end of the day, when that safety car is going to punch the field right up.
Yeah, I have just noticed something very quickly though, and I really hope the glitch doesn't kick in for Mr. Bit, but obviously he hasn't served his drive-through yet, and that usually the game has a habit of kicking you, disqualifying you straight after a safety car if you don't serve it. So I'm really hoping he doesn't get that glitch, because it would be super, super harsh.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Maybe once the safety car crosses the line, he can dive into the pits and try and negate that. Better to be in the race than be disqualified completely. But yeah, another thing we can thank our friends from Codemasters.
Yeah.
But hey, we race on. Our races are better than Codemasters. We can overcome this. We can make it fun. So.
Yeah, we definitely can. Good evening, Mandy. And do you want some interesting gossip, Rob?
Go ahead.
Rain is forecast in 10 minutes time.
Ooh, I can see those clouds starting to form. Maybe that's why our soft runners didn't go off them.
Yes,
they just
now
thought,
it makes
no,
sense.
Yeah,
So,
we're going to hang out.
Yeah, I think that also, if you think about it, if they noticed this early, softs was probably the right call to go with off the start, because if it says rain early, you can just make those softs last and get the advantage early on to drag it out to the rain. So
it is, but the weather forecasting tech I always find it's a bit, it's not as accurate as it kind of says, well, it's going to start sunny, and at some point in the race it's going to rain. So I reckon those hard runners just went, right, we'll try and see out the rain and hope it comes late, and those soft runners took the risk and hope it comes early. So I think those soft and medium runners, probably those who went on mediums, they're the ones who are thinking they can make the most of it. I think those soft and medium runners are also cursing the fact that the safety car had to come out at all, because they wanted to make the most of that tyre advantage. They're going to be less now. The gap between those soft and mediums is going to be reduced.
Yeah, of course. Right, let's continue with a bit of livery chat while we're under safety car. Let's go to Kaiser Soze. In some way, his is sort of similar to Martin's. I really like Kaiser Soze's though. It looks really good.
Yeah, again, I think, Spanish flag colours designed, really vibrant, and as well, I think I had a look at his whole race suit as well is yellow and orange. Fernando would be proud, so yeah, very happy with that one.
Yeah, now we'll go to Chris Bailey, because we've seen Danny's. Chris Bailey's is, I think he said it's an 05 Raikkonen Montoya McLaren.
Yeah, and it does really stand out. He's got that silver chrome look down to a T with the black. It's angry, that car. It was driven by an angry Finn, and it was some of the... God, Raikkonen back then was just...
I was going to say, that was Raikkonen when he was Schumacher level at the time, yes. Wasn't he? Schumacher and Alonso level, he was definitely back then. So, yeah. But we're going to have to stop because safety car is in this lap. I left it a bit late to start the safety car chat there, but we will get through you all, I promise you that, and Rob will be keeping a keen eye on all of you. So let's continue on. G-Star's gone really early and Doris is nowhere to be seen, and in fact if you have a little look, Mr. Hills is right on the back of Doris.
He's gonna make the move, he's thinking about it.
Oh,
no,
Cole did get that glitch. Oh. It's not nice, is it?
No. that just sucks. There's nothing you can do about it.
In that situation, you kind of just have to follow the safety car in, sadly.
Well, at least we know for the future. I know it's MRC-X. He will feel gutted about that. Former champion. He'll want to.
Yeah, I do feel for him. That is not great. But the sad thing is, there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. So, yeah. But this is now going to shape out with the rain coming as well. And if you actually look up at the sky, there are dark clouds appearing. So it doesn't surprise me that we have seen that weather forecast come through. So let's continue on. Calvin as well. He's now a man that's going to be trying to get onto the back of Xavier. He's now also newly to Tier 1 this season. Former Tier 2 champion and Tier 3 champion. So a driver we know has got a lot of pace inside of him.
Oh, he's a class driver. He's got a load of quality. I mean, he was passing my wheel very fast through some very difficult corners. So, yeah, no, he deserves all the success he can get. Back from Italy after a week in Italy. He's been on holiday, and the first thing he wants to do is get back in the car and race an MRC-X. So, great dedication to the league as well. Great to see him around.
I mean, yeah, that is dedication. Like we said, like Rob just said, he just summed up perfectly. It's what we want, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's why we set this place up. So, yeah, not really much else to say, but well done, Calvin. And I hope you enjoyed Rome, the hot Rome, while we've been sat here in like 200 feet of snow all week. So thank you. Thanks for making me jealous. But let's see. So I think the softs are starting to go off because Martin is starting to now keep hold of Doris. G-Star's pace is unreal, but he showed it a lot last season. He's really on a top level whenever he comes to MRC-X is G-Star, so it'll be interesting. But Chris seems to be making those hards work pretty well now as well, because he's sticking with Danny in front of him.
Yeah, he'll want to make that gap to the leader as small as possible. You know the rain's coming, but you hope that rain being 10 minutes away, sometimes on that game, that can mean like what's the average lap around here? About 120, so that's 6-7 laps. Those softs could be really burning by the end of this. You know, not being able to get anything done. Sorry,
yeah,
you carry on.
There was just a humongous twitch for Daddy on the exit of the final corner. Oh. I thought he was going straight into the wall, but it was a very incredible save. But yes, I agree with everything you were saying just then. That was definitely like these hard tyres. Oh, who's that? Martin's gone round to turn 3.
Oh, he'll be kicking himself. Safe rejoin, but yes, okay, back into 10th place.
Yeah.
And he was making such good ground.
Yeah. Do you know what's a shame though? We've only actually got 2 DNFs. The rest have all been really harsh DSQs.
Yes, it's a shame. It doesn't reflect the quality.
And the issue is, like, I don't want people tuning in thinking, oh god, they've done 11 laps and look. Trust me, 3 of these were glitches, at least. So, don't worry about any of that stuff. But, yeah, and also another driver I think to talk about is Simba. Like, obviously, he's a former champion himself as well, in the Challenger tier. He had a bit of an up and down, he'll say that himself as well, he had a bit of an up and down season last season in Tier 2. Showed brilliant moments of pace, was popping it top 5 early on in the season, at least in qualifying, but just couldn't seem to get that luck in the races, could he, last season?
No, but hey, he's in a difficult position. He's moving up a league. You've got that different competition. You want to prove yourself. Sometimes that feeling that you sort of need to prove yourself means that you make more of those mistakes that you just wouldn't when you're completely confident in the car. As just we see Sergeant Uncle Sam make a move on Simba down here into turn 1. DRS now enabled, and Simba hasn't got it. I think he's going to make that move nice.
It's raining. Sorry, I had to shout that then, but yes, I saw a drop and I was like, it's raining.
So yeah, it is all happening here. But yeah, final word on Simba. The thing is, he got through his first season in Season 2, even though the brakes didn't come that way. We all know he's a quality driver. We all know he's going to get it back together. So yeah, I think he'll be really glad that the points are reset. It's all back to 0 for this and for Tier 2. He'll be looking to outperform what he did last season.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a whole season fighting for a title with Simba, and he doesn't even need to say anything to you to sort of be in your head, because, you know, he's so clean and so consistent that the chances of him getting a penalty, you know, you've got to be perfect to beat him. Let's put it that way. You have to be. So it's instantly a hard challenge and an uphill battle for that. But I tell you something, the guys, the fact that it's raining now, the guys on the softs are actually going to benefit from this.
Yeah, they're going to have way more grip under these because there's always that sort of crossover period where the softs are going to be the optimum tyre because you want all the grip you can. But you know who doesn't seem to care about that at the moment? Chris Bailey and Saviour, who I saw going wheel to wheel on cold, hard tyres in marginally wet conditions.
Chris has just really run wide on turn 1 though. The grip is definitely going for those guys big time. But yeah, I was just about to bring that up about these two. You're probably going to see a drop off, especially until the crossover point because of the fact those hard tyres. But Danny's just got really wide at turn 4, super wide. He's making a few mistakes, Danny, and you can't make them with Chris Bailey behind you, can you? Let's be honest.
No, I think no. He's got to be perfect, but it's so hard to keep it on track. DRS has been disabled,
Martin's
which means
picked for Inters as well.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Martin, of course, his idol Jensen Button loves these sort of conditions, and he was the first one to make the call. I think he's got it right as well.
I think he's got it spot on, to be honest.
Exactly. These drivers ahead, they're going to have, what, 3/4 of a lap on the wrong tyre? You can see how much RFC
Look
Danny's
at Kaiser Soze. He's just gone wide at 10 massively, and now Danny's on the back of him.
Yeah, just nobody can keep it on track. Well, Martin will be laughing. He'll hope to see everybody dive in the pit. It'll be really interesting to see how much time he's made up and how many places he'll make up.
Has continued. Doris has continued. Kaiser Soze in. Danny in. Chris in. Saviour in. Oh, Saviour's hit the wall at the pit entry!
Oh, well,
he's just lost it on traction. 5-second penalty for Kaiser Soze speeding in the pit lane. Oh, it's such a shame. But I don't know if he did definitely hit the wall. But it was insanely close. If he saved that, well done, Saviour. But Calvin's in, Uncle Sam, Simba, B17, Jackster, they all think it's crossover point. Doris and G-Star continue on. Maybe they feel like they've got some grip, but if you look at that track, it is visibly wet now.
Yeah, I'm just going to see where Martin's going to come out. He's in 14th place at the moment. How many places is he going to get? He's going to be aiming for Calvin up in 7th, I think. He hasn't quite made that.
It's going to be just behind Simba by the looks of it. So
that's respectable. I think he's made that. Yeah, a good decision to come in now.
Yeah, especially after his spin as well. So, and I mean, he could yet gain 2 more because I do personally feel like potentially G-Star and Doris are going to lose quite a bit of time on this lap, being as they are the only two that haven't pit.
I'm trying to see the gap between them and Kaiser Soze. It stayed sort of solid at 23 seconds, 23.4. It's not coming down by like a second a lap. We're not seeing like a Lando Norris in Russia situation where he's losing 4 or 5 seconds a lap and the race just gets away with you. It could arguably stay out a little bit longer. That gap is coming down, probably down by about half a second at least.
Yeah, I'll tell you what though, who said wet weather can't bring you great racing? Calvin and Uncle Sam have just... Yes, sorry.
No, sorry, I just saw Doris do the Sebastian Vettel overtaking the pit lane. G-Star slowed down way down before the 50-metre board to try and make sure he was underneath the pit speed limit. Doris said, well, that's not quick enough for me, and overtook in the pit lane. G-Star will probably be fuming in his helmet about that.
He won't be happy at all, but if it's clean, there's... But I think they're actually just about... Or has Kaiser Soze taken it? He has! Crazy, Kaiser Soze's taken it just about, and Danny's... And do you know what the great thing for Doris is? He's now got a car in between him and G-Star.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Danny going very wide there.
Yeah, really, really wide.
Oh no, but G-Star's nowhere near him, unfortunately. Yeah, he doesn't quite have the traction. That's worked out really well for Kaiser Soze, staying on that extra lap.
He's got round the outside of G-Star on turn 4. Now on the run down to turn 5, he's got the inside line, and that is a move done for Chris. I tell you something though, Chris and Saviour now very much back in this race.
So, over a lunge?
Oh, let's have a look. He's done it. That's where I was just seeing Uncle Sam get past Calvin as well. So the wet weather, these guys are not shy.
Not at all. And put yourself in poor G-Star's helmet for a moment. He was P1 at the start of this, at the end of lap 14. He's now down in P6, and it's all just slipped away from him in an instant. Yeah, he'll be wanting to get back on that horse and yeah, make up those places as soon as possible.
Again, and he's got that 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So that's far from ideal for him.
It is. The one thing he might have going for him, Spain is a notoriously hard place to overtake. You've only got this straight here, although we've just seen Xavier and Chris Bailey.
Chris Bailey's just about to make it up.
A certain Gav go for a no-stop wet race around here and hold everybody back. There was such a huge train in that race. It was unbelievable. So if he can defend, Kaiser Soze's still got a chance to hold on to a lot of positions here.
Yeah, of course. I think the no-stop, though, if you can, by some miracle, make it work in the wet, then you're laughing. Like, I think I remember season 4, you know the race when me, you and Simba had that little moment in Cops?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I did a no-stop that day and ended up on the podium, so... But that was back... F1 2021, I feel like the tyre wear was a bit less realistic.
In here, you are going to be... I think those who tried Silverstone the other day, all the way to the end, their tyres were on 70%, and once you get there, it is... Any moment the puncture could come, and they're quite unforgiving about giving punctures in this game as well. So,
yeah.
It will be a risk if anybody decides to go to the end on these enters.
Unfortunately, it also caused a bit of a...
Oh, we got a car round!
Oh,
that's our race leader!
Kaiser Soze, it is, yes. Oh, that is such a shame for last season's tier 3 and Challenger tier champion. Oh, he's going to be kicking himself.
He is. He knows he's got the pace, that's the thing. He can just get his head down as well. As Xavier and RFC Danny going with RFC off the track. And Xavier and G-Star through. So that's Xavier up into 3rd, G-Star into 4th.
I tell you something though, this is... I think it's definitely now going to be a 4-way battle for this win, because these 4 are all mighty quick. I mean, you've raced against Doris a lot, and I think you can vouch his pace is absolutely ridiculous. And then you've got Chris, Xavier, G-Star, who are just, you know, on a different planet in tier 1. So
yeah, Doris tier 2, all those others tier 1. We all know they've got the pace, and it'd be really curious to see if anybody was brave enough in quali to go for a wet setup. We have no idea what these people ran. We don't know if they decided to risk it on full wets in quali and say they're just going to get more in the race. At the moment, the rain doesn't seem to be bothering any of these top 4 whatsoever. They all seem to have it quite under control. It's just if Chris Bailey can close down that gap to Doris, who's just eking it out now. I've just seen that stretch out a bit more, up to 1 second now.
Yeah, I agree. And I do want to say one thing on RFC Danny really quickly. Like, the new sort of assist settings and all of this were brought into X to make things like this happen, and Danny is kept with these guys. So it's really great to see, like, he's tier 3 now, but a tier 3 driver actually keeping it with, you know, the rest of the field.
Yeah, and I think even if the settings are slightly different for your tier or whatever, it's only got to give you confidence, right? It helps you know that you can do it. Even if you've got the line on, it doesn't matter. You're still learning those braking points subconsciously. Take this lesson, take 66 laps of it, and put it into the performance on Wednesday, and I think, you'll see some good results.
Well, I know for a fact some people do use the racing line to actually help them with no line, because it gives you a rough gauge of where to brake, and then you can then take that and brake, you know, maybe 10 meters or earlier or later, and then you feel a little bit more comfortable. So
oh yeah, I definitely did it, particularly with new tracks where you're unfamiliar. I could probably do Spain from memory with the amount of times I've driven it through the past F1 games, but each one's slightly different physics, and it's important to get it right.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see then. So who... Field's fairly spread at the minute though. Like, obviously the lead 4 are pretty much together, with Danny, of course. I'm not going to rule Danny out of that. He's still well there as well. But then after that, there's sort of like a gap between every car. So this brings me to my next question. What is your opinion on the new section that's come into Spain? Obviously, like, this whole twisty-turny bit has come out, and now we've just got the flat-out right-hander, effectively, that's going to take you down to the pit straight.
I think what people are hoping for is that it will help us see more overtaking down that main straight, right? Because the problem with that chicane is that it breaks up all your momentum. Even though it forces the car together, you can't get the run on anybody. So I really hope it does provide more overtaking around Spain. These new set of regulations on the cars were meant to see more nose-to-tail action, reduce that dirty air, make sure that we can have fights on track, and we saw more of that at the beginning of last season. Of course, it doesn't help that the Red Bulls are 3 miles up the field at the moment, but maybe amongst the mid-pack and those sort of drivers, that's where we see it really shaken up. So, yeah, I'm just really glad that F1 sort of has decided to change. It used to be stuck in their ways, and the old F1 would have said, no, we're staying with it because that's the traditional track, that's what we always do. Now they're willing to change it, and that combined with the new hairpin section you've got after the second DRS section, the way they reworked that corner. I know that hasn't necessarily led to more overtaking last season, but that combined with the new change, I think that can work really well together. And fingers crossed we do see more competitive races around Spain.
Yeah, my only slight issue with it is, like, I like it because personally, for me, the worst part of the track is the part they're all coming into now, the leaders. But for me, turn 1 just is a slightly too high speed for it to be an actual overtaking spot, if that makes any sense. Like, it's actually reasonably hard to overtake at turn 1 because it's actually quite narrow as well. So yeah, I mean, maybe the idea is that people get their overtakes done well before turn 1. Yeah, so you're reducing the risk because it always sort of goes down to the wire, and that's where you see wheel bashing or cars spinning and safety cars and all the likes. So yeah, maybe if it's safer overtaking as well, I won't mind that. No, of course, 100%. But I just think if it does come down to the braking zone, it is. I think we've seen it many times. Like, I think it was Grosjean a few seasons ago. He cut it every time because he just simply. But then that could be due to Grosjean not being the greatest driver we've ever seen. But still. So, I mean, this is also a track where we've seen a lot of shocks as well. Like a certain Maldonado, and just many other things have just gone on at this track. We also saw the infamous Nico and Lewis collision. Max winning on his Red Bull debut. It's a track with a lot of history.
Oh, it is. And that 2016 incident, Max winning, and those two Mercedes coming together, Max would never have got his first win in F1 if it wasn't for Lewis and Nico coming together. So that's something to think about. There's also that Maldonado win is one of the weirdest things in F1, and I love it. Have you heard the conspiracy theory around it?
No, I haven't.
So Maldonado wins in a Williams that people think, oh, that's like a bit dodgily quick. It's weirdly quick for the race weekend. Like, they haven't really been showing all this pace this season historically, and out of nowhere he gets pole. I think he only gets pole thanks to Lewis Hamilton being too low on fuel, so he's disqualified. So he leads from lap 1, and as we said before, Spain is quite hard to overtake. He does quite a defensive drive, brings it home in P1, excellent. The car is in parc fermé, back in the garage, and about 15 minutes after that, it bursts into flames.
Oh yeah, I remember this actually, yes.
Yeah, the garage has to be evacuated. You see Frank Williams being taken out, so they're just celebrating their first win since 2004 or whatever it was. The garage is just up in flames, and if you wanted to investigate why that car was so fast on that day, well, I'm sorry, you can't, because it's a bit of charred carbon fibre.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying anything happened, but, weird.
I mean, considering it was Alonso chasing him down, I'm not surprised you're debating this this theory. But, I mean, all I'm going to say is, yes, I agree with you, it is very suspicious, and now you mentioned it, I do actually remember it. But, at the same time, I think I'm going to say fair play to him because it was a great drive.
Oh, no, you can't. There's nothing dodgy about the 66 laps that he raced and stayed in the lead. That, of course, takes great concentration and skills. And most importantly, I'm glad we got a Maldonado win for the memes.
Yeah.
It's just, it's great. There's good vibes happening there.
Yeah, I mean, it might have been the first race he ever raced in his entire life without getting a penalty. But, I mean, he still won, so fair play to him.
Yeah. He couldn't crash into anybody because there was nobody in front of him to crash into. I think that was probably the biggest advantage.
But can you, when you put that into perspective and you think, Pastor Maldonado's got a win yet, someone like Nico Hülkenberg has never even got on the podium, and they shouldn't even be mentioned in the same sentence, in my personal opinion. So
it does seem unjust, doesn't it? But hey, the Hulk is back. He's got his second, third, fourth, whatever chance we're up to now. And he's got some pace in that Haas, so it's really nice to see how he's performing this year. I doubt he'll get a race win, but wouldn't it be nice if it's just a fluke podium
Yeah,
something happening.
like I think I can imagine it happening somewhere like Baku or something, because Baku has probably been one of the tracks that even Jeddah could bring a few surprises, or Miami, or especially Las Vegas as well, being as it's the first time they are there. So all of these, but Miami last season was a bit of a bore fest, wasn't it, to be honest? So
Yeah, Miami, my opinions on that track are, well, I'm not going to hide them. It's a car park. It's provided a bit of rubbish racing, really awkward, strange sections, and we've got, like, how many Grand Prix in the USA now? 3?
yeah. Geke's just had a moment in the last corner, so that was why we had a yellow. And so, oh, he's in the wall!
Oh, he's in the wall!
Yeah, that must have been, he didn't get heat in his tyre. Well, his tyres were too hot, and it's just gone. It's a shame for Geke. I've just realised there is an MRC race happening. Okay. So, no, but I was going to say something about this race, but I've now completely forgotten it. But
Are you going to mention Geke's livery? It seems to be based on gosh, that's really unfortunate. No, that's another. He was facing the wrong way for a while, and he's tried to get back on track. Spun it round the wrong way, and the game said, "Oi, mate, don't drive backwards on track," and has disqualified him in yet another outrageous move from the Codemaster Stewart, which we can only apologise for.
So ridiculously broken.
Yeah,
it really is. But yeah, yeah, you got to throw it. Like, I don't know what we can say, because there's literally nothing we can do on these, is there? But there is one thing that's interesting. Sergeant Uncle Sam now, right on the back of Danny. And if he can navigate his way past Danny reasonably quickly, he could be putting himself in and around the fight for the win here, because he's showing some really, really good pace. I believe he's got the fastest lap as well.
Oh, has he? That's really
I
interesting.
could be wrong, but I think but obviously that will be on the whatever tyre he started on as well. But yeah, I think he's been showing some good pace. I mean, he got past Calvin. Calvin's also had a moment somewhere, because he was right with Uncle Sam at one point. So
And he's down an 11th at the moment, isn't he? Yeah, still on the same 9.5 tyres. Nobody's really gone into the pits on these inters, so at least we're keeping a nice train together. What's interesting, and the reason why we're sort of talking about other things, is it's really hard to overtake French here, so you've got to make the most of the DRS zones, but of course DRS is disabled.
Yes, in the rain it becomes... You almost have to be strange with your overtaking, because you kind of have to make moves in places you normally wouldn't, but in the wet, weirdly you can get away with it.
Yes, if you can find sort of the extra bits of grip round the track, or just hope the car in front makes a mistake and take your opportunity, that's good. There's also a bit of, like, brinksmanship. Oh, whoa! Big news! Doris is out! Look!
Oh, wow!
That's a big moment.
He's gone super, super late as well. Like, that's not even on the exit, really, is it? That's a bit further from the exit. That's a really, he must have really struggled to just put that foot down slightly too hard, and it's thrown him in the wall. But that is a safety car.
Yeah.
Wow.
I reckon what's happened there, where he is, and the car's gone now, unfortunately, but if we follow, sort of Donny here, you've got that strip on the left as you go and chuck it into this right-hander. Yeah. I reckon he's just got a wheel on those curbs. They are slippery in the dry, they will be an ice rink in the wet. And if he's just spun it round and it's speared him off into that wall, then yeah, that is going to be lethal. That's really unfortunate to see, because he was doing really well this race. Was he in the lead? And we're thinking that he was going to...
he was holding off Chris for the time being at the minute, and he was actually, I think, pulling away from Chris a little bit. So, Chris is a man that's also formally said that he is after this MRC-X title this season, so he is definitely a man that's going to be possessed and loving life right now. He seems to have the pace advantage slightly over Xavier and G-Star at the moment, but G-Star has been all over the back of Xavier for the last few laps.
Well, I was going through the list of people competing tonight, and I just went, well, we might as well call out MRC-X the League of Champions, right? Because you have got so many. You've got Xavier, right? You've got Martin, you've got Simba, you've got Calvin, you've got Bits. Is there anybody else I'm missing from that list? Kaiser Soze, I think I mentioned.
Yeah, Kaiser Soze as well. No, I think that is that's the whole championship just for tonight as well. Bear in mind, like usually as well, we have like Kid Dynamite who races a lot, who's a former champion in X. 38 will be racing a lot in X this season because he just sadly yesterday messaged me that he may not be able to race, and then realised he could race hours later, but sadly because he said he can't race, I had to get a replacement. So he's also another driver who's a champion. So yeah, Mark Hodgson as well, he's another one that tends to race a lot, and obviously he's now tier 2 champion and MRC-X elite tier champion. So
so yeah, so you've got all these champions in this race, right?
Yeah.
And some of them, you know, all people who are very quick, and you know, just when Bailey joined the league, unfortunately, it's a bit like, you know, Andy Murray in the tennis. He's really good. He just happens to be in a generation that includes Roger Federer, Novak Djokovic, and Rafael Nadal. It's not his fault. He's still really good. If he was in another generation, he would have won everything by now. But he's just got loads of quick people around him. So, if Bailey can, well, first of all, best of luck for Tier 1, Bailey. I hope you do really well on that and get a championship shot there. But MRC-X also provides that opportunity for him. And yeah, he can start the season off with 25 points here. We'll be very happy indeed.
yeah, well the thing is, it's like if you watch Chris Bailey in like practice and things like this, he's genuinely able to match anyone. But I think sometimes due to a mixture of bad luck or a bit of a lack of confidence or whatever, when it comes to the race week, he tends to struggle just a little bit more than normal. So yeah,
look, if there's one thing he can't lack, it's confidence. If you've seen his hairstyle, you've got to have some guts to wear that out in public. So,
oh, I can't wait for him to watch this back now. But yes,
So,
no, I agree. Yeah. But let's continue now, because let's not miss out on this. Let's now finish off livery chat, because
oh yeah, of course.
we haven't actually done that today. So next up, I think, actually let's have a quick look at Saviour's, because we didn't actually see it. So this is one that Saviour's made himself for the first time ever, so we could be completely horrible about it.
Yeah, no, and it shows. It's terrible. It really shows a lack
Yeah.
of craftsmanship, guile, creativity. If anything, please back your partner to make liveries for you, right? Because this
I
one
feel
is
sick just looking at it.
it's a 2 out of 10. So yeah, no, better luck next time. But no, I'm glad you tried. A participation sticker award there.
There you go, there's Genie's honest review, but not so honest as
I'm
well, because
sorry.
he is also trying to say,
Alex. I'm really horrible.
I can hear him I can hear him saying that with a smile on his face. So he doesn't mean it at all. But no, it's
I'm
okay.
typing a Discord message to him now just to apologise.
No, it's a good livery. Let's go and have a look at Uncle Sam. His actually weirdly looks somewhat like the Alpine, to be honest.
It's great. I love it. It's got a nice, especially I like the additional like loop sponsorship, and I like that sort of hint. The red, white, and blue, the American, the sticker, the Halo sticker,
Yeah.
is just there. That's like a perfect little touch as a hamster. So yeah, no, I like that livery a lot.
Yep, so we've seen Kaiser Soze, we saw single track. Simba's is the one he raced with on the last race of last season. It's the Lion King livery for the Lion King himself. I actually really like it though.
Oh yeah, no, boy, it stands out, isn't it? You are not going to miss Simba in any of these races.
Yeah, that is
I
for
really
sure.
like it.
No, I do. Yeah, it's really nice, but I don't know if I can give it just because it is from the catalogue. So, yeah. But let's have a look at B7. I love that. B17. Wow.
Oh yeah, no, that is very striking, isn't it? With the sort of that green, that off yellow, that's sort of like a brawn yellowy green, but mixed in with the others. It's totally original as well. I know some people go for different themes of like, yeah, this is based on a certain car. Yeah, I like the originality there. That really does stand out. All those colours work.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. Now let's go have a look at Calvin's. His is, I think he put in Discord, a BMW Williams recreation.
Yeah, 07, 08 series. So we're talking Nick Heidfeld and Robert Kubica in it.
Yeah.
And that was a quick car. If you remember how quick Kubica was in that machine before.
Oh, sorry, it's BMW Sauber, not BMW Williams, wasn't it? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Sauber, then it'll be...
It's very nice, yeah, I like that. Yeah, let's look at Jackster. Jackster also posted his in Discord earlier. I can't get good view of it currently because the camera angles are not allowing me to.
I like the...
Yeah.
No, I like the tactics there. He's gone for the black and red, which is sort of like the old school, like McLarens or the Alonso and Button years. But also, as we know, black is quicker than any other colour this season. Right?
Yeah,
that's just
that's
pure
not wrong.
carbon fibre.
Well, unless you're a
in
Mercedes.
a race, yeah, well, unless you're a Mercedes, in which case somehow it made it heavier.
Yeah.
I think we might be going in this lap, might we? I think
Yeah,
this
we'll come
looks
to
like everybody's...
Dudon and Ghost Rider later. So
Yeah.
let's see when Chris is going to go. Thing is, safety car restarts are some of the hardest things to do in the wet because your tyres are just so cold. You've got to floor it without flooring it, if that makes sense. So let's have a look though. Look at Saviour's restart. He is...
Saviour...
Yeah, he's right there.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Is he going to make a move? He's got the outside line. He's had a look at Chris, but that inside line is quite pivotal into turn 1. So let's continue on. Uncle Sam is still stuck behind Danny. That'll be something he'll be wanting to get done very early, so he can get onto those guys up front.
Yeah, I think you're looking at Saviour trying to make that move, and this is the time to do it, right? We've said it's really impossible to overtake round here, just as I see Jadon do a move on Jax at the back. He's got that one done, up to P11. But yeah, it's really hard to overtake round here. This is the moment to strike, right? The tyres are warm, you're out of a rhythm, the safety cars mess that all up. You've got all your ERS, so why not dump it? Why not try everything into turn number 1? And he was so close. Going side by side, that's a victory, I think, around here, when you consider how spread out we've seen the rest of the field. So yeah, hopefully he'll give it a few more tries.
Yeah, definitely. But this is definitely interesting now because there are only actually 1, 2, 3, 4. There's only 5 Challenger tier drivers left in this race. So...
Ooh.
A touch awkward. That was really a touch awkward because I just accidentally muted my mic. But what I was saying is yeah, what will be interesting is who out of these guys can really start the season the strongest, because it'll be a big motivation for them, won't it? Like moving forward and.
Oh yeah, and I know
yeah.
It's a chance for like your first podium as well, something like that. You all set these little goals at the start of the seasons or little milestones, and no matter where you're starting, some people might be going, yeah, I want to win every race, or this year's my championship season. For some it will be, I want to finish top 10 or get my first podium, little things like that, and they're all steps in the journey that we have in this league to just getting better and better and better. You never forget your first podium, you never forget your first win. So fingers crossed somebody in that Challenger tier can achieve that tonight.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, my aims for this season is... My ultimate aim is obviously the Tier 3 title. My other aim is to actually get my first MRC pole position.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Because, honestly, I got... In Season 8, I know you commentated on Tier 3 a lot. But the amount of times, with no time left of the session, I was on pole and someone would take it off me on their final run and I'd end up starting second. I think I'd had it 5 times and I wanted to cry every time. I got denied from pole at the last moment.
So have you never had pole at all in MRC?
No,
or...
never.
Wow.
It's one thing that just keeps eating me away, and obviously the fact that I've lost 2 titles as well. But the pole is just the one thing I really, really want. And I know you don't score points for it, but it's just something that's so satisfying.
It is nice to have on your MRC's TV, just to think for once I was the fastest person on track. I mean, I'm just going to keep with Saviour and Chris, sorry, because Saviour is all over the back of Chris Bailey just before I start. I wonder, it's risky to do any sort of move into here though, isn't it? And we know how clean Saviour is. He's not going to make a late dive in there. He's just going to apply. I think he's just going to keep applying that pressure to Chris Bailey right now. Just hope he forces the mistake or just a little error. It's only going to take a little twitch and Saviour's going to be there.
Well, I heard a rumour about Chris Bailey, and that is that he watches videos of Genie before he goes to bed each night so that he can learn how to be clean.
Well, I hope he's not watching videos of me for any pace, because he's certainly a lot faster than me. But he can keep it clean, all right. Sorry, there's a every moment. Oh, he's gone deep, and Saviour's on the inside line.
And Saviour's up. He's into the lead. The mind game. I mean, he was practically for that entire lap pushing Chris around. But I tell you something, Saviour was a bit slower towards the end of that stint before the safety car. But since the restart, he's been on it.
Oh, he was all over the back of Chris Bailey, and it's almost like when you've got 66 laps and you're behind somebody, he's been up behind Chris for a lot of this race, you can analyse, you can see which corners you're faster in, which you're slower in, and I think he just really took his opportunity there and said, yep, I'm going to go for this inside line, I know he's gone deep into that corner, and yeah, boy, he made it stick.
Yeah, he definitely did, and it is great to see as well. And I mean, now look at G-Star as well, he's right there with these guys too. But Chris seems to be struggling a bit now off this restart. I wonder if he didn't get enough heat on the outlap. But the one thing that is really interesting me at the minute is Danny is still kept Uncle Sam behind him. Also, Single Track's just pit again for another set of inters. And we are not even at halfway point yet.
That was a front wing change as well, so I think it was sort of forced, or he had a little bit of damage and decided to take the opportunity to change his front wing. But yeah, I do wonder if he says no. I think we don't know, of course, if it's going to rain till the end or not. It might clear up. I hope it does, so it mixes up the field a little bit more.
It is looking a touch brighter. It is looking a little bit brighter. So, and to be honest, if it does stop raining, it's not going to take long, because I don't actually think the track looks ridiculously wet at the moment. It won't take long to dry. So, yeah, but I mean, ultimately, I think G-Star Chris is going to be the next big battle. Uncle Sam could join it. But Simba's had a very quiet but great race in P6.
Very consistent, just banging the laps out at the moment. And yeah, he's in P6, he's got a bit of space in front of him, space behind him. This is where you just need to get into the zone. Zone out, keep your lap times consistent, and hope that something happens in front of you. It's a nice place to be in.
It definitely is, because, I mean, especially with how hard these guys are fighting, because Chris Bailey's now just over a second in G-Star, but those gaps up front just keep fluctuating. They keep getting nearer to each other or further from each other, and eventually in the rain you'd think that there could always be the potential for a crash. Obviously we don't want to see that, but there could be. So Simba could be in the best position to just capitalise on anything, and I mean, if someone makes a wrong decision or there's another safety car, he's right back in that mix.
Exactly, we've already seen the race leader make a mistake in Doris, and you know, that shook everything up. And
Kaiser Soze too, when he was in the lead as well. He's another example. Sadly, I don't mean to bring up Kaiser Soze, but yeah. So
but we were looking earlier at like who our challenger tier drivers are and who our like elite tier drivers are. We've got quite a few elite far back. We've got Calvin in P9, Kaiser Soze in P10, Single Track in P13. They're the ones who want to try and make their way up through the field as well and really fight. So there's a lot of good battles to look out for at the moment.
I know Martin will be absolutely kicking himself as well, because I know this season is the season where he wants to have his best season, because obviously he's just got that new rig as well. He's gone to the Allez Le Bleu of Alpine as well. So this is the season he really wants to show himself, but it's not been the best start to season 10 for Martin, has it? Sadly.
No, not at the moment, but if you want to get all your bad luck out of the way at some point, you know, it depends how much value you put on MRC-X.
The first race of the season is always the best time as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, you don't want to, you know, start on 0 points, end on 0 points. What you lost? Nothing.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It definitely is. So let's come to you quickly. What are your aims for this season, personally?
Personally, I mean, I would like to. I always know that I'm not the quickest driver around, and I made a couple of silly mistakes last season. Sort of like, I know I've got the silly nickname of Mr. Clean, which I earned when I was doing more practice and when I was far more consistent. And I was tier 1, and that's the only reason I got that. At the moment, I just want to get back to that, being more consistent, knowing that I can compete and getting like the odd podium here or there.
You did get a race win last season, didn't you? If I'm not wrong.
I got a race win last season, and it was incredible. And it was like
I remember it, because I was on comms and I was like, because it wasn't the fact that I was like trying to call you slow normally or anything, but the whole race you wasn't really in the lead for it, and then all of a sudden you popped up in first. I was like, how's that happened? I was in shock, but the scenes were absolutely monumental.
It was really odd. I'm just going to stick. Sorry, before I blow my own horn here, I'm just going to stick with Donny and B17.
Oh, they've just made contact.
Such a shame. That's going to have to be a pit for Donny, because yeah, he lost a bit of his front wing, I'm afraid.
Oh, it was just. It looked like the thing is, it's so easy to do in the rain, isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, I think he misjudged his braking points. Like, he was right up the gearbox. That's why I was sticking with him. They were so close. And I thought, oh, maybe we're going to see something. Maybe he just got a little bit too eager.
We may see that one in the stewards potentially later, I reckon. But
yeah,
let's continue on. We've just gone past the halfway point. So, yeah. But Uncle Sam, I tell you something, he's made a mistake somewhere, because he's fallen a bit here from RFC Danny. But the other interesting, I do wonder if B17 may have got some rear wing damage there.
Let's see, you can't see rear wing damage.
Yeah, sadly you can't see it, but it is, I mean, it was quite a clout on the rear end, wasn't it, to be honest? So...
It was. What happened, what it certainly did is it bunched up that group behind, so I think there was about a 4 second gap to Simba ahead. That's now up to 7 seconds, and it's brought BDR, Kaiser and Jackster all into the mix. And Donny was all over the back of him before. I wonder if Calvin's going to be eyeing up a move, because there's only half a second into it. I do wonder how well, as well, those 20 lap old inters are going to hold up.
Yeah.
It's a bit more difficult, but they'll really be into a certain phase of the Grand Prix where you don't want them to get away, I think.
Yeah, I tell you something as well. I was just watching Simba. His gap is also coming down. He's starting to catch the Uncle Sam versus Danny battle. So Simba is starting to make inroads, and these guys aren't a ridiculous amount behind Xavier, Bailey, and G-Star either. So Simba could be bringing himself slightly better. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I thought you saw something.
No, sorry, I was going to say I totally agree with you that they are one mistake, they are one missed braking point from Sabre away of Sabre suddenly slipping back and going into 6th place. So it's a testament to them that they are keeping up, and over such a long race you expect those gaps to be bigger and be drawn out. But it's still been really close so far.
But yeah, back to the Chris Bailey vs G-Star battle. Chris is really struggling at the minute. Like, if you're watching it, his confidence in the traction zones, braking zones, it doesn't look as good as it did. He looked pretty superior early on, didn't he? But
a bit more pace than Bailey when he were behind, and he always looks a bit slower when the guy out front is making that gap. That gap between him and G-Star staying about 1 second. But like you say, if he's making a couple of mistakes into braking zones or not quite picking them as well, that gap suddenly shrinks down really quickly.
I'd also like to point out, like, at the point we are, like, as far as the race week, I think a lot of people have nowhere near perfect setups at this point as well, because obviously they've only they may have been practicing on and off over the off period, but the first official practice was yesterday. So they've had 1 day to fine-tune their setup ready for today. So these guys probably haven't got the most confidence at this moment.
That's the change you're going to see with MRC-X moving to Friday, right? It's a bit like, you know, when they introduce the sprint races into F1 and they get 1 practice session before they have to quali and do the sprint.
Yeah.
That's the type of thing we're seeing. We're going to see people going in who we think we're going to be fast. They haven't got quite the right setup. They don't know what's going on. The rain will have thrown a big spanner in the works as well. Maybe they've got the perfect drive setup, but not the one with the wet. So I'm looking at Kaiser Soze and Calvin. Kaiser Soze.
Here goes Uncle Sam into turn 10.
Uncle Sam, sorry.
He's through, and he's got past Danny at long last. Danny made a big mistake on the exit of 9. He had a big twitch, and Uncle Sam was there to pounce into P4. Now, can he make inroads on that front 3?
I think he can. He's got the pace.
Yeah, he definitely does.
It's typical, isn't it? We haven't had much overtaking action in 10 laps, and then 2 of them go for it at the same moment.
Yeah, so was it Calvin on Kaiser then, for that one?
Yeah, Calvin, I thought was going to be all over the back of B17, but B17's really up that gap to about 2.5. Kaiser Soze was going for some overtaking manoeuvres in some, I would say, odd places, and he's got a lot of ERS to spend. Let's see how much he does down this main straight. That gap is going down. 3 seconds, 2.1, 1.5. He's going to try and make the move before turn 1. They're going to go side by side into the corner. A little bit of wheel bumping there. The hand goes up, and Kaiser Soze.
A bit more cat-ticked on the exit as well. But yes, that was good racing from those two. Thing is, again, another 2 drivers that, I mean, I've battled with Kaiser Soze so many times, and ending contact is usually your fault, to be honest. So, yeah, he is a very, very clean driver. But he did escape a little bit of wing damage there because there was contact on the rear. But can I just point out, Chris has made a mistake because G-Star's got past, and look who's right on the back of Chris Bailey.
Oh gosh, Sergeant Something's going for another move here. He's dumping all his ERS. There's no DRS here, of course. He's going to get it slowed down.
Wow, Danny as well!
Very wide.
Here goes Danny, he's through too. That was insane from Uncle Sam around the outside of turn 10. Wow.
It was, and it was nearly, and here comes Hamilton moment, wasn't it, from RFC Danny?
Yeah.
He almost made it stick, but he just got a bit wide on the exit of that corner, and he just lost a little bit of time, unfortunately. But yeah, Bailey falling down the order. He's got to keep his head here.
I think he had a mistake
very bad very quickly.
At the start of that lap he was ahead of G-Star, and then all of a sudden he's dropped, what, 3 seconds behind G-Star, and now behind, but Danny's gone for the move, and Danny's passed.
Just going from bad to worse. I'm
it is,
here.
And now Simba's in the trajectory of Chris as well, which is.
That's a yellow.
But there's a. I think it's Calvin. He's had a moment in the final corner. So I don't know if there was a moment or if maybe there was contact with B17 or Kaiser Soze, because B17's also got ahead of Kaiser Soze as well. Oh no, he was ahead anyway, wasn't he? Sorry.
No, there has been a moment in Kaiser Soze. He's missing an end plate on the front left-hand side. I saw a yellow bit of carbon fibre, so I knew it didn't belong to Calvin. And that is why Jackster is
in
contact between them as well.
Yeah. Oh, that was... I almost feel like Kaiser Soze was minding his own business there a little bit, because he was reasonably slow down that straight, wasn't he? But I think that was just unfortunate a little bit there.
Yeah, oh gosh, right back at the front, it's all happening now. Simba up into P5, Bailey down into P6. He just doesn't seem to have the pace on the straight or the traction on those fast corners. He's just falling behind.
There's a real confidence. Bailey's got no end plate. That's why. If you look at his car, he's losing an end plate.
Right, maybe it is time to come in and get that fixed, because you are just bleeding positions at the moment.
He is. But he stays out, so... And in the wet, you feel it so much more as well. But that explains a lot now. But also, I'd love to know where he's picked that up. I'm sure we'll find out after, but maybe that explains for the lack of pace on the restart.
Well, he had a moment we didn't see, didn't we?
Yeah, that is true.
He suddenly lost 3 seconds out of nowhere, so it's possible that maybe he had a bit of a connection with the wall, slight misbraking point, and yeah, that's cost him a bit more than just a couple of lost seconds. It's cost him 4 places now.
I'll tell you something as well though, Kaiser Soze not only has a wing change here, but he's also going to have to serve that 5-second penalty.
Oh yeah. Well, at least it won't be added to the time at the end of the race, which is good.
He will be praying for a safety car though. He will be praying for it. So, and for his sake, I sort of, like, we all love a safety car sprint race at the end, don't we? Well, unless you're racing in it. But...
Oh, have you seen what tyre...
He's gone for mediums. That doesn't make sense, does it? To be honest.
On the cars like I was, so I think it might actually not be raining. Clearly the track is still wet, but I can't see the rain spots on the cars.
Have you left the session?
I've not left the session, no.
It says migrating host on my screen for some reason.
Oh, okay. I'm still
I don't know if this means I'm getting kicked. But I'm hoping my audio, I'm hoping the stream's still... Have you got the stream up?
The stream is up, the stream is still going.
Okay, thank goodness. I was panicking for a second. So, that's good. But I've just got a migrating hosting at the bottom of my screen. You did go silent for a second, which scared me. So...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mid-sentence as well. But let's continue on. But
maybe
Danny is...
small blip.
Danny has done very well here in the fact that he's kept on to the back of Uncle Sam.
Yes, he has. Only 0.7, 0.8 seconds now. So, yeah, fingers crossed he can keep that together. Yeah, what I was saying before is that move to the mediums. Can you see any drops of rain on the car at all?
Let me go on board with him. It is on the camera. There is definitely still rain. However, but that could be. I think it is still raining. But if you actually look on board, yeah, he's gone wide. It's definitely the wrong tyre. That is, he's just been lapped, I think, as well by Saviour. So he's just gone wide at turn 10.
Oh yes,
So
he's really struggling, isn't he? He's definitely got no power at all in those. So
I am getting it right by calling that turn 10, aren't I? I lose track of which number the call. I think it's either 9 or 10.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's turn 10.
Yeah, that's what I always called it anyway. I prefer. So now here's another debate. Do you prefer that turn 10 to the old turn 10?
It is faster, apparently that much different. As we saw in real approach that corner now,
Yeah.
so it shakes things up. That's where we saw the saviour move on Bailey earlier, because Bailey
And the Uncle Sam one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so it is possible. It does mix it up a little bit more, but in the grand scheme of things, particularly in the real life F1, I don't think we saw many moves around there.
Yeah.
It was meant to be this huge redesign.
Yeah, I think the way I'd put it for that corner is, I think for overtaking, I'd actually say it's worse. However,
Yeah.
for the flow of
6
the
and 7,
track,
sorry.
yes.
Bailey and B17 going side by side now.
Yeah, Chris is super struggling, isn't he? Majorly. So, B17 is right there. This migrating host thing at the bottom of my screen is really annoying me.
Apologies.
It's not
Fingers
your
crossed
fault,
it all-
but I mean, I think as long as everything's working, that's all I care about. But
Yeah.
I tell you something. Look at how close Daddy is as well. By the way, to Uncle Sam. Wow.
Oh yeah,
That is-
those two have just been all over each other, haven't they, from the start of the race? They haven't left each other alone.
Yeah, I think
doesn't
those
it-
two are going to be writing each other love notes at the end of this. Yeah, and I'm here for it.
I'm really interested to see what happens with B17 and Chris Bailey as we get to the start-finish straight. I
Yeah,
wonder.
I'm gonna
I think
go on to
Bailey's
that.
really been struggling with traction onto those long straights, and even though there's no DRS, I know B17's got a lot of ERS he can spend. Let's see if he can make the move.
Yeah.
Gap staying there. I don't know if he's got the skinny enough car. He's dumping it, but that delta just isn't moving at all. So he's going to have to get it done through one of the corners where you know Bailey's going to be slow because he doesn't have the same downforce.
Yeah, he's going to have to almost be very, very cleverly opportunistic here because obviously Chris is slower. Look how much Chris is struggling in turn 3. The move is done. B17 is through.
Yeah, that's where B17 was lining it up the lap before, and he's finally got it done. Now he's got to really make up that difference and just zoom away in the corners. Unfortunately, Chris Bailey loses another spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how much fun he's having. Gosh, single track and Ghost Rider as well, going for it right at the back. I know single track made the move earlier. I think he made the move into turn 1, and Ghost Rider's just had to fall back on that one. Ghost Rider as well, a livery that we haven't looked at yet, but that is a old
It
school
looks
sort of
almost
26
Mercedes, doesn't it?
I'd say 2016 Mercedes, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that a curse around here? Do you want a 2016 Mercedes
You
on a track
definitely
where both of
don't.
them crashed together?
Oh, Saviour's in the
Saviour, big news
pits.
at the front.
Yeah, he's...
Onto the mediums. And so is Uncle Sam.
I'm going on
and-
board with Saviour here because there was no DRS enabled sign, was there? Just to
No,
check,
not that
I
I
didn't
saw.
see it. Is it still raining? Let's have a look at Saviour's car here, because if it ever lets me go on board with him, please. And thank you. There you go. Now let me go on board with it. It does. If you look, the track is bone dry, or virtually.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so
On board, you can
G-Star,
see it. So Simba's come in for softs, by the way, as well.
as has B17 and Jackster. So yeah, I think you probably can get those softs to the end, and the softs are going to probably be the best in this crossover period as well. We talked about how important they were before when the rain started to fall. They'll be just as important now that the track is still drying.
My only thing is 23 laps on a set of softs.
It's
Oof.
a long way, but you never know what's going to happen, do you? I think Simba was in a good place to take the risk there.
He definitely was, and obviously he's now in what is a net P4, and arguably could even jump G-Star here if he can because it's definitely too dry for those inters now. So how far is G-Star going to drop? How far is Danny going to drop? You could even see actually Donny's on the inters, I've just realised as well. So B17 could be sniffing his first victory of the season here. The man who finished runner-up to Kesa Soze last season. So it's definitely one for looking.
DRS enabled, there we go.
Yeah, there's your usual calling point. Where is G-Star going to come out? Saviour's taken the lead. Well, Saviour was in the lead anyway. What about Uncle Sam? I think G-Star's going to be just about okay. He is. So it's now Uncle Sam in what is P3. Simba is going to be in P4 as well. So he will be, well, he'll be P4 in the elite tier anyway. But
oh yes.
How well can Simba make those softs last and keep good pace in them? He's going to need to get the moves done very, very quickly.
I love the fact that it's dried up. I think this race needed it. It was very fascinating to see what's going on, but now we've got the shake-up of strategies. Now we've got the medium runners, the soft runners. We've got people like Chris Bailey who's been able to come in and change his front tyre, and we know he's quick in the dry as well. So can he make those positions up and fight his way
He's
back
definitely
up the field?
someone. Oh, he's got 3 seconds. Genie has just cursed him.
Just stop mentioning his name. I'll say how rubbish he is, and maybe he'll do well. Maybe I'm going to do the anti-curse.
Yeah. But I was just about to say myself, actually, I am interested to see Chris's progress back through the field. But one man that's going to be... Yes, go on. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say Calvin as well. I think Calvin was one that was struggling in the wet, super quick in the dry, and he's all over the back. And Jackster as well.
He's side by side into turn 10, and he's just put a set of purple middle sector as well. So Calvin is absolutely flying on those medium tyres.
Yeah, this is exactly what he wanted, wasn't it? Let's go back to Simba. I'm just going to see if he's got the run on RFC Danny. He's going to want to make those softs work quicker than those mediums ahead. He's got to make the positions up now. He's in a bit of a DRS train, isn't he? With
this is the issue for Simba. This is the last thing Simba could have wanted. He'd have wanted to get one and then get the other, but the issue is he's not going to get that advantage down the straight on Danny. But Danny is actually looking super racy on Uncle Sam here. But talking of Chris Bailey's pace, look at that.
Purple, you know he's got it in him on a set of mediums as well.
Uncle Sam's got super wide. At turn 4, turn 5, he's just about recovered it, but wow, I don't know how his car didn't go round, because usually if you touch the grass there, you eat the barrier, because trust me, I did it. So
very easy to do. Oh, we've got Calvin past B17 now.
Calvin
is on a charge.
Absolutely flying, as is Chris. So the issue is Calvin's now got 15 seconds to get on the back of Simba. Yeah,
it's a lot of time to make up, isn't it? And that's why we said Simba was doing so well in the wet, keeping up with those guys ahead.
Yeah.
Saviour as well at the start. Look at the gap he's opened up to G-Star, who G-Star just pitted 1 lap later. It's now up to 8 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Simba, Danny's just had a big twitch. This could be Simba's moment, you know, to take it. How much ERS is Simba going to use? Let's go on board with Simba on the rundown. He is closing a little bit, but he's also being very cautious with his ERS here, so very smart from Simba. He seems pretty happy to just sit behind at the moment.
Yeah, I think so, and that's because he knows. You can see RC Danny sniffing all over the back of Sergeant Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
Don't think he's going to be bold enough to go for a dive down here, but yeah, this little three-way battle for 4th, 5th and 6th is really spicing up as Chris Bailey goes through.
Just caught that right at the end. He literally, a very good move, very brave on the brakes, but I tell you something, him and Calvin are on an absolute charge.
I would not want to be Jackster at the moment. I thought BDR got past Jackster.
Yeah, Jackster has got back past him at some point or another, which we missed. But I don't know, because Calvin now looks like he's struggling a little bit on the exit, because Chris is all over him now.
I was just doing a little check. All the end plates are in place, so he's got no damage as far as I can see, or if he has, it's very minor.
He's not going to have DRS. Chris could get him here. Let's go on board with Chris. Let's see this. He is. He's gone round the outside into turn 10. Good move from Chris. He's done. I know that's been eating away at him. I know Chris. Uncle Sam doing that to him will have made him want to do that to someone. So
I'll do the Alonso radio for him. Bye. Oh, there's been a spin up ahead. That's Jackster round.
Oh, Jackster, he was having such a good race since the safety car. Them softs are not going to be in a good condition now at all. Wow. So that's you got to feel sorry for him a little bit. But I was going to say earlier, the man that's going to be absolutely kicking himself today is Keizer Soze, isn't he? Like, he's gone from the lead to a lap down. It's not the way he'd have wanted to start off in the elite tier, is it?
No, and I think he just made. He was unfortunate. He was bold. He went for that move like what 2-3 laps early. I don't know if it was right to. I don't know if he should have just stayed out on the mediums. It was too soon, so he had to go back in for the inters. But then 2 laps later, everybody was coming back in for the mediums anyway. So yeah, it just shows how one strategy call can all of a sudden mess up the race big time.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 100%. I was just having a little look at Kaiser Soze because my heart does go out to him a little bit. But honestly, has there been a single lap of this race where Uncle Sam hasn't been with Danny?
I don't think so. Sorry, we've got single track on BDR Calvin. Or no.
Yeah.
I was about to say, Martin's kind of had a quiet race at the back, had to pit for some wing damage in the end. He's now on the back of this Calvin B17 Bailey group.
He is. He's sort of sneakily brought himself forward, hasn't he? The thing is, there's such a gigantic gap now between Simba and Chris. It's almost the battle of two. Well, I say 2 races. Saviour's in his own race on a Sunday drive, literally.
Yeah.
G-Star's in his own race. But then you've got the battle of Uncle Sam, Danny, Simba. And then you've got Chris all the way down to pretty much Calvin. But single track has just got past Calvin as well, into turn 1.
Yeah, I think everybody was really missing out on that DRS zone under the rain. They wanted to make it work and they couldn't. And now they've got it. They're using it every lap they've had. Just so many overtakes now, and hopefully it keeps this spicy until the end of the race, because we've got a lot. That train, as you said, between Sergeant Uncle Sam, RFC Danny and Simba is, yeah, I think that battle's going to go all the way to the end of the race, and that's one of the notes I feel for stake.
The only issue I think is, I don't know if Simba going onto the softs was potentially a game glitch, because I personally don't see them, because he will have to do 23 laps, and I just don't see it.
It will be tough. I don't think it's going to be impossible. These softs, you know, if you think they last, 7 laps on the regular 50%, that gives you 14. Oh, yeah, you are going to be struggling towards the end, I guess. He's going to be one hoping for a late safety car, isn't he? So
yeah. Because I'm currently watching, I've been watching him a bit in that last sector as well, and his traction out of corners already seems to be down on everyone else's, but there's just been contact between Danny and Uncle Sam on the exit of turn 2. But I think Danny's got away with no wing damage.
Yeah, I can see all end plates in place, so we're
Calvin's
fine
come
there.
in. I wonder if that's for damage, potentially. Will this explain why his pace has dropped off a little bit?
He fell behind for some reason because he was battling it out with Chris Bailey, and then somehow B17. Ah, that's a shame.
Yeah, so he had that, because I know on this game you do still get that non-visible damage, and for a commentator it's awful because we don't know what's going on. But yeah. I think sometimes when like Calvin early in this stint was arguably matching Chris with his pace. But the other interesting thing here to note is, I know obviously it's Chris Bailey, but he's taken a second out of Simba in 2 laps.
Yes, and I mean 15 seconds, 16 laps to go, 17 to go. He could get third. A podium is still a possibility, which I think Bailey would take right now as consolation prize. And
if those softs do go off how personally I expect them to, I mean I could be wrong and Simba's played an absolute blinder here, but I think the softs are going to go off, and that is just going to mean Chris probably will gain more and more time towards Simba. But if I'm Simba, I'm really getting agitated now with this battle in front, because I'm there like, please just let me through. I just need to make these softs work, but he can't do it because of the DRS train. So
trying to see, I can't.
The interesting one now as well is single track versus B17 for P7. That's going to be one that hots up over the next few laps as well.
Definitely.
So which was you trying to see? Sorry.
No, I was wondering, I hoped that we could see I wondered if we had data for the last lap time set, but unfortunately we don't on the commentary. I wanted to see what laps Bailey was putting in compared to Simba. Maybe I'll have a little look this lap and see if I can get that data for you, because
yeah, it's definitely interesting. So far this lap he's taken about half a second out of Simba, so
yeah, so
I think the mediums are just maybe the better tyre anyway, because obviously like on lap 1 of the stint Chris Bailey literally set the fastest lap, so
yeah. But Simba is going to have the advantage of 2 DRS zones, isn't he? So Simba does a 121.673. Let's see what Chris does as he crosses the line. So that was a 121.
Here goes Simba into turn 1. He's made the move on Danny. Great move, but he's got a bit deep on the exit. Danny's not able to come back. What an opportunistic and great move that is from Simba. Fantastic.
Excellent work. Yeah, he really has to make those softs work now, and he'll be hoping that he can get ahead of Sergeant Uncle Sam as well.
What he needs to do is he needs to get past and then pull a gap, because if they do go off towards the end, at least he's got a bit of a buffer and can defend for his life. So.
And we've got Martin going past B17 as well, so Martin is up into 7th place.
Yeah, he definitely is. So, but Danny's shown great, but like, I think Danny's definitely, like, I don't mean this in a horrible way in any way, but I think you could say he's been the shock of the race, definitely, with where he is in comparison to the guys around him. And if you think about it, Uncle Sam's a tier 1 driver. Simba is a double champion. He's well and truly mixed it with these guys for the entirety of this race.
Definitely. I hope we can see the same performance in, was it tier 3s in? So
I don't, because I'm battling him. But I know what you're saying.
yeah, you want to see that performance carry on through. Simba closing up here on Sergeant Uncle Sam. He's going to go for the move down the inside. No, thinks better of it.
I think that one was, it was just where the angle didn't quite open up for Simba there.
Yeah.
It was almost, he sort of reached Uncle Sam that little bit too late, and Uncle Sam had already earned the right to the corner there. So, yeah.
It was a wise move there from him. Just, I want to bring up that little, you know, that like weird graphic they bring up on the screen of the Amazon tyre data and who's catching and what lap they're going to catch by. So I had a little look at the data between the difference between Simba and Chris Bailey's lap times. Bailey is catching about a rate of about 0.7, 0.8 a lap, which I think would mean that they'll probably come together, him and Simba, around about lap 65, 66. So this one might go all the way
to the wire.
To the
but
end.
Don't forget, Chris has got a 3-second penalty as well, so he kind of need. If I'm Chris, I'm wanting to get my foot down rather quickly, but you can tell Chris is pushing. He's got 20% of his ERS left, and the other issue for Chris is he's got to navigate his way past Danny, who... Oh, Uncle Sam's round at the final corner.
He's in the wall. Goodness me. Oh, that's such a shame. He's had such a good race. He put together
3. He can drive his own race. He can control his pace, and it does look reasonably likely that he could be Chris here with that penalty as well.
Yes, I think the big question mark we've got over Simba, isn't it, is he going to have to come in for a new set of tyres, those hards. Now 10 laps old, going to have to do another 13 laps. I wonder when we're going to see them just slip away. The good news for Uncle Sam is, if I look at his car, no wing damage as far as I can see. If he did make contact, it was straight on, which usually gives you a little bit more leeway in this game. So, yeah, thankfully he's still in the race, so it won't be, if you've done 52 laps, it won't all be wasted.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. So, I mean, the field is reasonably spread out right now. Obviously, no one appears to be in DRS. Has Kaiser Soze managed to get himself back on the lead lap? Single track's just spun.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah, he's just gone. I was watching to see if Kaiser Soze was back on the lead lap, which he isn't. And then in the background, I've just seen single track spin at turn 2. He doesn't appear to have lost a position. I think he was ahead, behind B7. No, he got past him, didn't he? So he's only lost one position, but he'll be kicking himself again. But the one thing that is interesting, Simba is managing to get past, get a gap to Danny now as well.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? And I mean, the big battle to watch right now is Bailey on Sergeant Uncle Sam. I wonder how crucial it is for Bailey to get past, because if Sergeant Uncle Sam's just a little bit slow, he doesn't want to stop his charge to Simba, does he? He knows he was lapping faster than Simba. He also knows that Sergeant Uncle Sam was doing the same times as Simba, so it's almost good practice to see if you can get past the driver of that speed around here. Because you need about, you usually to pass around here, you need like a good maybe second a lap on the driver ahead if you want to do it consistently. I wonder if he's got that pace.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Now, the interesting thing as well is here, Chris is right on the back of Uncle Sam, so I wonder, Chris, the thing is, this is really costing Chris now in his pursuit of Simba, so the further this goes on now, the more you would most likely say that Chris is probably going to hold on to this. So, sorry, Simba's going to hold on to this.
Yeah.
So, and because obviously, once he does navigate his way past Uncle Sam, it means he's going to have Danny still to catch as well, so yeah, that is for sure. But while we're in a bit of a calm pit, actually, let's watch this Chris versus Uncle Sam battle. Okay, he's not quite close enough. He's not going to get past him until at least the next DRS straight, you think. Let's go for your livery of the day.
Ooh, what a good question. I was trying to see.
The issue is it's hard to remember the ones that are out of the race as well. I feel like we haven't given them a fair chance, but we can't. So, based off what we've seen, who is your livery of the day?
Oh, so I think it's a toss-up. I think it's a toss-up between Martin Hill single track and Kaiser Soze. I really like the fact that they've themed their liveries around the track, and they are both very striking. And yeah, they've made it look really good, and not just base it off. We see a lot of great retro liveries, but I do like to see those original takes. So can I give it to both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, can I wimp out and give it to two?
Yeah, you can go for both of them. I'm actually gonna go with, for me, it's out of two, but just because I'm a bit of a sucker for recreated cars.
Go for it.
So I'm gonna go, it's either Chris Bailey, I love, and because one, I love the look of that McLaren back then as well, and he has done a good job with it. And then the other is actually Calvin, because I weirdly think the BMW Sauber was a very good looking car as well. So
I agree with that. I think maybe if mine's like original livery of the day and yours is like recreation livery of the day, I think we can get away with that.
Yeah, all right. So I'm gonna go with Chris just because my Kimi Räikkönen fanboy side is coming out. But Calvin for me gets an honourable mention, and again I agree with you about Martins and Kaiser Soze's. They're both amazing liveries as well. I could never give it to Ghost Rider because I'm the biggest hater of Mercedes, so there's just no chance. Oh, B17 as well, I think his is beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, B17 is really good. You're going to have Giban going mad as well that you've disrespected Kubica like that, by not giving him the livery of the day.
He is going to be upset with me, and I am his former teammate, and he will tell me when he's upset with me, believe me. But yeah, sorry, it's just Kimi. that's all I have to say. Kimi is my boy. So yeah.
So a few interesting developments. I'm trying to remember. I think B17 was on the softs as well as Jackster. They're our first soft runners who've decided that they've had enough of that tyre, and they've come in for a second. Oh, as Bailey goes past.
He does.
So
he's just gone through. So he now needs to pull 3 seconds to Uncle Sam. That's 100%. But the other thing that's interesting is like what you're talking about with the B17. Donny's currently in P2 here. B17's just given up his P2 for the Challenger tier. Can he make the 15 seconds he needs in 9 laps on fresh tyres?
It all depends how and when those softs go up, and I think it is just a matter of when now, isn't it? It appears the real outlier here is Simba, who's got 14 laps on them. He's still making time on RFC Danny. He's actually pulling that gap out now to about 2 seconds. So when we see that gap really close off, I think then we'll get an idea of that those softs have completely died, and then it's just survival. Can you make it to the end? Are you going to have to do a late splash and dash, as they used to call it back in the day? Or just pray that your tyres don't actually deflate before the end of the race. So you're going to do a Lewis Hamilton on 3 wheels going over the line. Otherwise.
Splash and dash is me at the end of the night in the pub.
Splash and dash was Martin before the race, apparently. If you're going to empty your bladder before these.
What did he say? 100 times?
Oh, yeah, 47 times or whatever.
Yeah, 47. Wow, that's quite exact. Weird that he counted as well. But,
yeah, no, you've got to at his age.
Yeah, well, Wow. Well, Martin, don't watch this back. GGD does mean that. But let's see. So, Uncle Sam, Chris hasn't actually pulled majorly here from Uncle Sam. Not as you would expect with the pace he's been showing. But if you look, he is really starting to catch Danny. He's taken 2 seconds in about 2 laps.
Yeah, I think it's easy to catch on him, but when you're in that DRS train, he's really making the most of it, isn't it, Simon, for Sam? He's just not, he's nearly out of that DRS, but he's not, so he gets another burst of it. He's going to be, I think he's dumping all of his ERS as well to make sure he tries and keeps up with Chris, because he's really worried that Chris is just going to disappear up the road.
Yeah, I mean, and also if you're Danny in this position, like, he is looking very comfortable, to say the least, for his Challenger tier win. Would you fight Chris if he's approaching? I wouldn't. I'd almost just say, look, you can go. But then, at the same time, the way he's fought Uncle Sam will race, if I was Uncle Sam, I'd be pretty annoyed if he just let Chris go. So
you might want to let Chris go, but also there's a chance, like we said, there's a chance those softs suddenly go off. And if they do, and Chris Bailey gets past but doesn't pull 3 seconds, you've got a MRC-X Challenger tier driver on the podium. In the first race of MRC-X. It would be great to see,
wouldn't it? Like,
we want to see that.
Let's be complete. And I mean, but it's good. Like, going back to the new rules and things, I think this is one of the best races we've had in MRC-X. Well, we saw a lot last season that left me absolutely voiceless by the end of it. But for a 100% race, I mean, we've had a few dull moments where not much action's been happening. But that, in general, we've had pretty much a guy in someone's DRS nearly every lap, I'd say.
Yeah, it's been really good. It's been great fun, and even though we've obviously had those unfortunate, we had 4 DSQs, we've only really had, in my mind, 3 DNFs.
Actual DNFs, yeah, because 2 of them weren't even didn't even get off the line, and that's not fair. The car one was an unserved thingy which you can't serve under a safety car, which is even worse. Uncle Sam's just made a huge mistake on the exit of the final corner. He's had a massive he hit the sausage curb and just lost it, so that's going to really help Chris, especially now as Chris is in pursuit of Danny. But I tell you what this does mean if Chris does get Danny. The dynamic duo of Danny versus Uncle Sam is going to be happening yet again.
You just can't keep those 2 apart, can you, at the moment? Or at least, well, obviously Danny's hoping you can keep them apart. He wants to be as far away as possible from them, but yeah, it's still a chance that they'll be scrapping right up into the checkered flag. I'm having a look at these softs. I know we said we didn't think they'd go to the end, but I'm not seeing any big fall-off, either from Simba or Donny. B17 is making about 0.5, 0.7 a lap, but that's not enough at this stage. You've got 7 laps left, 6 laps left. So, yeah, we might even, with how Saviour's going and how far ahead of the field it is, it's possible that a few drivers might finish a lap down. I think he's just approaching B17, isn't he now? So yeah, 17 has to get a move on.
Well, I mean, the one thing I will say is G-Star has actually brought that gap down slightly at the front to Saviour. That was over 10 seconds at one point. It's now down to 6.5. And I mean, Simba's gap behind them is now 22 seconds. But I don't know how much of that is tyres and or Saviour's just absolute god tier level. But
might be a bit of both, mightn't it?
Yeah. And I mean, the softs, I don't think were like, those mediums have looked insanely strong for this entire stint. They really have. But I mean, Simba's done what needs to be done, and I know for a fact he'll be absolutely delighted to start the season with a podium. I mean, even if you just look at some of the names he's beaten here, like he's beaten Chris Bailey, a proven tier 1. He's a tier 1 race winner. Uncle Sam, who's insanely fast. Martin, a champion of tier 2. Calvin, a tier 2 champion. Like, he'll be delighted with that.
He will, and we were talking earlier about how last season maybe didn't get quite the rub of the green, and if that had affected his confidence at all. This is the confidence boost you need, isn't it, going into Tier 2? Sorry, you've got Chris Bailey all over the back of RFC Danny here.
Yeah,
he
definitely is.
Yeah.
And he's just done it again. He likes that little outside turn 10 move, doesn't he? He's pulled it off a few times now after being mugged off by Uncle Sam. But this excites me because it means we've got Uncle Sam versus Danny.
Yeah, they're back together, aren't they? I don't know if I've seen Danny lost a little bit of time in that overtake,
Gav,
but it's
because I need Gav to create a boy band name for those two.
I'm not Gav,
The
unfortunately.
American Scotsman. There you go. Uncle Sam is the American, Danny is the Scotsman. There you go. Let's go with that. The American Scotsman together. That's not a combination I ever imagined in my head, to be completely honest. They are polar opposites. But we move on. And no, Gab, I do not want you to do an American accent at any point in the future. Thank you.
Gav's American accent. I think we're all haunted by that. So,
Well, did you ever watch Tier 2 when he sung the French national anthem before Paul Ricard?
I did, and yeah, no, my therapist is helping me through that at the moment. So,
you know when you're having bad days and you just like need something to cheer you up and just make you laugh? I genuinely, and this is no word of a lie, I genuinely just put the intro of that video on. Because it reminds me of my... No, I'm not. That was going to sound really horrible. But it reminds me of when my dog is choking.
Blimey. Well, maybe if you
Sorry,
wanna,
Gav.
if you want to start your day right, set that as your alarm. Maybe that's a tip for everybody at home. I mean, it's okay, you out of bed. Oh gosh, the RFC, Danny.
Yeah. Oh no. I don't want to say it, but if I cursed him by bigging him up the entire... You're so bad, Danny. Let's do some reverse one. Let's do some reverse psychology here. You're so bad. Just bring it home, please.
It is kind of... We talked about how RFC Danny and Sergeant Uncle Sam were mirroring each other through the whole race. Sergeant Uncle Sam had a big moment earlier on, didn't he, where he lost it into the wall. RFC Danny's just sort of repaid the favour and done exactly the same thing. And it was almost exactly the same section of the track as well. He just, lost the rear end, unfortunately.
Yeah. But I tell you what this means. Chris versus Simba is looking likely to happen.
It's on, isn't it? And 20-lap-old mediums. Sorry, 20-lap-old softs for Simba. You've got to wonder if they're approaching the cliff now. I mean, I don't know if he'll be able to...
Probably are, because he's dropped about 2 seconds in 2 laps here as well, so I think he's probably starting to struggle with them. But all he has to do is keep Bailey behind him, I'd say even just for one more lap. And then it's, unless he has an absolutely awful last lap, it's going to be hard for Chris to pull 3 seconds on him.
Yeah, I'm just going to see if I can get the lap times for Simba and Chris here. It's going
the other interesting thing here as well is, sorry to interrupt you really quickly,
that's right,
but Uncle Sam is still within the penalty window of Chris as well. So Uncle Sam's still on for a P4 minimum here. And if something happens with these two, Uncle Sam could find himself on the podium. But Simba has defended into turn 1 and managed to keep the position. But Simba is definitely struggling for traction because Chris is all over the back of him.
Yeah, that might be crucial. There is, looking at the lap times, there was a second difference in that lap. So that would mean, what, we've got 64, 65, 66. If Chris had made that into turn 1, I think he'd be in with a chance. If Simba can keep him behind for just this one lap, it's going to be really difficult. But Chris is sniffing away, isn't he? He's all over the back of that gearbox.
Yeah.
He's waiting for Simba to go too deep into a corner or make a mistake, as those tyres, I think now they are screaming. Yeah,
they definitely are. It's quite visible as well, the lack of grip Simba has. Bailey does have DRS. He is closing. He's going to try his famous outside of turn 10 move. But Simba actually defended it super well, but he has got off track. But the inside line for the next corner may really benefit him. But no, Simba has got him. So Chris has got him. So he's got to pull 1.5 seconds a lap.
He has, and Simba is going to have DRS, crucially, and I think he's got a bit of ERS as well to burn. If I was him, I would just jump it. You want to stay as close behind him as well. Big shout-outs to Bailey for that move, though, as well. That was a classic old switcheroo. It's Simba thinking of going for a move.
Originally, though, I thought Simba defended it really well by actually going deep, because at the end of the day, it was Simba's corner at that point. So I thought, he's defended this really well, but then the issue was he then didn't have the grip to actually defend how he wanted to defend, and it threw him off track, and then Chris went through.
Yeah, I think Chris knew that as well, and knew that he'd get the extra traction, so just had to throw it up the inside, get his steering wheel straighter earlier on, and then apply the power, and he was able to get right through. And now Simba's got other problems. He's got Sergeant Uncle Sam.
The last thing he needs right now while trying to get this podium is Uncle Sam to battle with Uncle Sam. That is absolutely for sure. I'd almost be tempted to let Uncle Sam go and see if he can battle with him. But I've just realised it is the final lap of the race, and the race leader is starting it. And apparently it's still migrating host.
Ooh, will do. Sorry, Sergeant Uncle Sam. Big move. Tried to do what Bailey did, but couldn't quite
It's
get
now
it done.
2 seconds, that gap between Simba and Bailey, though.
2.3. Yeah,
It's not looking likely, is it, at this point? But
no, those tyres are gone. Look at that. Look how much Bailey is pulling away now. I think he got a good second on Simba. If this race was 2 laps shorter, Simba would have made the perfect
here goes Uncle
strategy.
Sam into turn 1, and that is the move done. Simba's. I do wonder if he deliberately put the softs on. I'm sure we'll find out, but I'd also love to know how much wear he has on them.
I think it'll be a fair bit. It's just he was keeping up for so long. It looked like they were competitive. It looked like they were fine. It's just these last 2 or 3 laps you've really seen him fall away, hasn't he? And he's just got. You can just see the gap opening up. You can see how easy it is for Sergeant Uncle Sam and Chris Bailey to go up the road. Chris Bailey, of course, is 3.1 seconds ahead of Sergeant Uncle Sam. He's still got a job to do if he wants to keep that podium. But sorry, we've just missed it. The Saviour's gone across the line. He won.
Yeah, he has. Saviour begins how he ended last season on top. G-Star, what a race from him as well. He had an amazing start. Went a bit too long on the inters and it ended up costing him, and a bit too long, I think, on the dries on the first stint as well, and it just ended up costing him a little bit. Chris Bailey, though, can Uncle Sam make 3 tenths up in the last sector to take the podium away? I don't think he's going to be able to. Chris Bailey will come home P3 by the looks of this. Simba's got back past. Uncle Sam's made a mistake on the final corner.
Yeah.
He's gone round.
It's fun, and that's RFC Danny's through. RFC Danny's through.
Yeah. I mean, he's won a challenger tier anyway, but that'll be even wow. His arch nemesis from this race has managed to go past him as well on the final corner. Single track is the last. Single track and Donny are the last 2 on the lead lap that are going to come across the line. I think Donny as well. He's had a very quiet P2 for challenger tier there as well. Like a very quiet race. I wonder what his times were at. 22 laps on the sauce from him as well.
Seemed to be okay. He was the one who stayed out, and compared to B17 never made the time up, unfortunately, and yeah, that seems to have worked out really well for Donny.
Yeah, it definitely did. Now I'm going to come to you because before I read out the results, who is your driver of the day?
Oh, well, okay, so I was going to give it to Sergeant Uncle Sam. He made up 17 places to get all the way up there, but with that, it was that up until the last corner. RFC Danny, I think I'm going to have to give it to him instead. That is a great result for somebody who was, from the challenger tier to beat so many tier 1 drivers, to be there all race and keep it on track until the end and take, what was it in the end, P5 on track?
Yeah.
Tier 1, P1 in his tier standings. So yeah, I'm going to give it to RFC Danny, a great race.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you just for everything you've said there. It's like, I agree completely. But here is your first race results of season 10. Saviour takes the win, G-Star in second. Chris Bailey with a great fight back into P3. Simba, what a stint that was from him. So unlucky to lose the podium so late on, but 4 for him. Daddy takes his debut win at MRC, I think. Well, MRC-X for sure, and that is a win for him, but P5 on track. Uncle Sam, heartbreaking, but P6. Single track, P7, good recovery. Donny will take second in MRC-X in P8. Calvin P9, Jackster will take the last podium spot in P10, B17, P11, and Kaiser Soze the last classified finisher. Oh, actually Ghost Rider was classified as well, but then DNFs, Doris, Geke, Bit, Biff, Scottish Ninja, Chelsea, and Mutts Nuts. But that will be it for the first weekend, well, first race of season 10. Great, wasn't it, Rob?
Yeah, fantastic. Really good way to start the season. And yeah, that has whetted my appetite for the rest of the week to come. We've seen a couple of the drivers throughout all of our tiers. Now it's your job to tune in and see how well they can do when they're up against, that more even field. Everybody no racing line, that kind of jazz. Yeah, really looking forward. Can't wait till Monday now.
Yeah, exactly that. So, guys, on that note, don't forget 7 o'clock Monday, Tier 2. 8:45 Monday, Tier 1. Same times for Tier 3 and 4 on Wednesday, and then next week I'll be back for round 2 in Mexico, which I think is Reverse Grid Championship, but if I'm wrong, you may all just hate me in the Discord, and I don't mind at all. But, thank you for joining me, Rob. It's been an absolute pleasure. Happy anniversary to MRC, I guess.
Yeah, happy anniversary, been a real good pleasure, and yeah, can't wait to hear from everybody else soon. Have a good one.
That is for sure. Have a good one, guys, and thank you all for watching. See ya.